don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. You're taking your own journey. This is your journey.
Hey Wildcats, my name is Nicole Camacho. You are currently listening to UAZ Podcast. Today I'm with my colleague,
Rebecca Ursule.
Today we have a very special guest, Natalie Luna Rose. Thank you so much for coming on to inspire students here at the U of A. So can you please tell us how are you, what do you do, and kind of what do you do for your job and your kind of day-to-day?
Well, hi. Thank you for having me. I've never been on a podcast before, so I'm excited. So sorry if I end up sounding a little goofy at times. And I'm a little nervous, surprisingly enough, for a podcast, even though there's nobody in the room except for us three.
Yeah.
So I'm Natalie Luna Rose. I am an alum of the University of Arizona.
Yay.
Wildcats.
Yeah.
I graduated with a Media Arts and Mexican American Studies degree. I am from Tucson, born and raised. And I went through Tucson Unified School District. I graduated of Rincon High School. And all these years later, I am now on the TUSD school board. And this is my 5th year, but my first year of my second term. So I've already served one term, and I ran in 2024 for a second term, and just about to finish this first year of that second term. And currently just a board member. I'm not the board president right now, so that's nice because I still have a lot of responsibility. I just don't have as much responsibility as a board president. So
how is your day-to-day as a board member kind of look like? Is it a lot of work, or is it mostly you do a lot of work one day and then the next day it's not that much?
Well, that's a good question. So we meet, and we actually don't have a board meeting. Oh, sorry, my phone fell. We don't have a board meeting today. We normally have board meetings every other Tuesday. So I have a board meeting next Tuesday, December 9th. For those of you who are listening and watching, those of you in the dorms, if you're excited and want to go see a very, very exciting public policy meeting, the TUSD office is just down the street from here, 1010 East 10th. Our board meetings are actually down the street on 5th and Rosemont at the Duffy Community Center. So my day-to-day actually just depends on the day.
Okay.
So the weeks of board meetings, I tend to be a little bit busier. I'm studying for the board meeting with the superintendent before the board meeting, Dr. Trujillo. And the weeks that I don't have meetings, sometimes I'm touring a school or being invited to an event. Like I know there's an event on Friday, an open house for the TUSD Food Services because they had a big renovation and now they're going to have a nice grand reopening for that. But for those who don't know, school board members in the state of Arizona do not get paid to be school board members.
Really?
No, so I do this out of
OMG.
I do this out of the goodness of my heart.
Yeah.
Basically, I do it because I believe in my community. As a parent, my daughter's a senior, and as an alumni of the district, and as a community member. I'm a taxpayer. I live here in Tucson.
Yeah.
My husband is a taxpayer. We support public schools. So I do have a day job. I work for a local nonprofit that advocates on behalf of people with disabilities, and I'm the communication director. So this is kind of right up my alley, seeing the soundboard and the lights and doing those things. I mainly record reels. I've never done podcasts, so maybe I'll look into doing that for my job when we have the money, because nonprofits also don't necessarily generate that much revenue. But the day-to-day, I'm constantly getting texts from the superintendent or somebody from the district. This is happening. I check my email daily. So it's a huge district. For those who aren't from Tucson or did not go to Tucson Unified, TUSD has 89 schools, 40,000 students, and we are pretty much the whole city of Tucson. If you think about Midtown, West Side, East, some south and a little north, because then we've got districts like Flowing Wells and Amphi. And then on the east side, we have Vale and Tanque Verde. The south side, we've got Sunnyside. So, but TUSD is the number one district, and it's the largest one in southern Arizona. And I do believe we're the third largest in the state.
And is there a current election happening right now?
There is not, but next year, I sit on a board of 5 people. 4 of the 5 are parents. We all have 4 of us have children in our schools. The other one, he's an older gentleman. He's a grandfather, and 2 of my colleagues will be running for re-election in 2026.
So what kind of inspired you to take on your current role, and when did you discover that first spark?
Well, I'll go first with the spark. So when my daughter was in kindergarten at her elementary school, there was nobody, they needed parent help. And I always plug at every school board meeting. I ask and implore people who want to help in the schools, want to come volunteer. Please do so, because the schools don't have anybody. Parents are too busy working, not just one job, but a lot of our families' parents are working 2 to 3 jobs, because we are a lower income city, and there are people struggling in our district, in our families. So, but if you have the means and the ability and the privilege to be able to help, a school would love to have you, even if you come once a week to maybe help the librarian, tidy up the library. I mean, anything you can do. So when my daughter started kindergarten, there was no parent running a PTA, Parent-Teacher Association.
Yeah.
And, well, at her school, they call it the Booster Club. And so I wanted to get involved. And so I started volunteering, and then I ended up becoming the Booster Club president all the way through until she was in 5th grade. And and it was me, and to be fair, I will give credit to my friend Cindy. Shout out to Cindy, who was my co-chair all those years. Both of our kids were in the same classes together. And that's what kind of got me going, and realizing that in our schools, even on what is called the good schools or the East Side schools, that there's families who need to utilize the clothing bank, need to utilize the food bank, need free and reduced lunch. And so there's a perception that it's only the kids in the bad schools or the poor schools, the schools on that side of town, when that is not the case at all. There's a few schools here in Tucson Unified that are have affluent families, and the majority of them don't. And so year after year, and being involved in my daughter's school, I started to really realize the inequity. And TUSD has been great for me and my family, and I wanted it to be great for other families. So to answer your second question, how did that was the spark, but how I got the movement to running for school board, there was a group of parents that came together. I think by this time my daughter was in 4th or 5th grade, and they were very dedicated parents living in different parts of town. So a friend of mine said, hey, I'm going to start this organization where I'm going to take a parent that lives in Legislative District 9 and Legislative District 8. So we could come together as parents to advocate to those state representatives and state senators of those districts to say, hey, state of Arizona, you're shortchanging us money down here in Tucson, specifically Tucson Unified, and we want to become an parent advocacy group. So I think there was 5 or 6 of us, and we started this group, the Tucson Unified Parent Advocacy Council, or TUPAC, because everybody could remember that acronym, and they laugh. And for several years, we would advocate on behalf of the district. And we weren't an official district committee. It was something that we put together ourselves. And had trainings, met with state legislators, met with superintendents. There was 2 in the tenure, and the one is still there now. And as I was my daughter was going to get ready to move into middle school, I thought, well, I've done this for a couple of years. I'm going to give another parent an opportunity because I kind of needed a break. I've been advocating for a long time. And sometimes advocating can burn you out. Yeah. It can. And I want people to recognize that. Even if you step away for like a month and you come back and are refreshed. But I wanted to kind of step away for a little bit. A friend of mine who was on the TUSD school board wasn't running for re-election. She was leaving and says, Natalie, we really want you to run. And I was like, no, don't want to do it. Don't want to put myself out there. That's too hard. And, but here I am.
That's great. I'm glad that you were able, like you got that passion and you're able to use it to support the Tucson community. Like you said earlier, advocacy is really great, but it can burn you out mostly when you're advocating for something that is really needed for the community and you see the benefit, but the people whom you're talking to aren't seeing it in the same angle. And so if because before you advocating for something, you think about it, you prepare, like there's so many sleepless nights that you have over that same issue. And then here you are advocating for the issue and people are not seeing it in the same angle. And so if let me say you've spent 6 months doing that and at the end of the day, you're not seeing results, of course, as a human, that definitely will burn you out. But I'm glad that it does, even if you're facing challenges in that specific path, you're still there to help the community, which is so great. So as you've grown so far in the career, how have your interest or motivation changed? Are there do you still want to continue in that same path, advocating for the community in the TUSD, or do you want to do something different so far?
That's a good question. I'm kind of at a crossroads at the moment because I'm in my second term. My daughter is graduating, and she is my only child, so I don't have. It's not to say that I don't care about the other students, but it's easier to advocate when you've got your own child going through that. And I'm hoping that the decisions I make for the next 2 years after she graduates will help those students in their future. So I don't know if I'll run for school board again. It is a 4-year commitment.
Yeah.
Like I said before, unpaid. We do get paid in chicken salad and other goodies at the school board meeting. Free T-shirts sometimes. But it's a real commitment. It's not just, I'm running for school board and isn't that cute? I mean, it's a commitment. You are affecting the lives of children who are going to be the foundation of this community in 20 years. Yeah. And paying for you as an older adult, Social Security or Medicare or whatever. So it's I don't take it lightly. Yeah. A lot of people use school board as a springboard to their next glamorous role. School board is not glamorous. I've been lucky, and my colleagues have been lucky that we haven't had as many controversial items come our way, like past TUSD boards or other school boards across my colleagues across town. Yeah. We've been lucky in the last couple of years, knock wood. But that could change, though. Yeah. So I don't know. Whether I stay on the school board or not, I still want to advocate in some way. I'm not sure exactly what that looks like yet. And I haven't totally ruled out other, perhaps, offices, but I don't know what that would be. Because running an election or running a race for any sort of seat is a grind. It's grueling. You have to have the support of your family. Yeah, that's really important for anybody who's thinking about running. Whether you're running for dog catcher to president, if you don't have, I say dog catcher, HOA president to president of the United States, you have to have your family. You have to have some sort of support because it is a really long time. Yeah, it's sometimes a year or two before the actual election happens, and then you've got the actual job to do. So I don't know. The future is wide open.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens.
Are you looking into maybe the university level, like college or something?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I want to see when you leave college and you move on and you start working and you get married and you start having kids, you get so far removed from when it was in the days you were walking on the mall of the UA, And so I sometimes think, okay, I've focused in a lot on K-12. What's happening at the college student level? What's happening? What services are you not getting as a U of A student? What services, what monies that the state hasn't given the U of A and the other two state universities? And the U of A, as much as, I'm repping my shirt today and, I'm a proud Wildcat, but there's been, the U of A's had some issues in the last couple of years financially. And it's been in the news. And it's, I think, slightly embarrassing. And I think that the administration here needs to figure out how they're going to, one, kind of turn that around, because we've had several presidents here in the last couple of years. How does that entail with the new rules from the current White House in foreign aid and students? And is the U of A doing enough to cultivate hometown talent? I know you said you're from Uganda, but you're here from Tucson. And so how many more of you should be here? Because you're both fabulous young ladies, so tooting your horns there. But they're not. I don't think the U of A is doing enough in the hometown talent section. So those of you who are listening, U of A admin and the higher ups sitting there on the tower, are you doing enough to cultivate students from TUSD, from Flowing Wells, and not just the districts that are quote unquote, have this, we're an 8 district. I don't like the idea of school grades in terms of this school's an A and this school's a B. I think it's arbitrary. I think it's punitive. And it doesn't really show what a student can do. But when you have a university that's, I think, not facing the needs of the community that has long supported it and surrounded it, it makes for angry alumni, to be frank. So we'll see. We'll see. I'll give if my daughter ends up coming here next year and I'm giving my money to this university yet again. They
have to be accountable. For sure. Because I was saying something which is really common here at the U of A and the students around, is that most of them, when they graduate, they tend to leave Tucson. And yet, like you said, there is a way the Tucson community supports this institution. And so they kind of have I think they have to do more of ensuring that, yes, they have the university here, ensuring that we have so many other organizations partnering here around, so that when students graduate, they can be able to have something in order for them to transform those skills that they get from here back to the community, which is really, it's good that students can go out and work from somewhere else, but it's sad because they take all the great skills outside Tucson and go develop those other states or take those great ideas to other places instead of them retaining a lot of our students back here in the Tucson community. So,
it's a shame.
It
really is.
And
I will say that now, as a parent of a senior who's applying to different universities and did the early admit, ASU has already accepted her. And the U of A is no, we're going to wait until after January. And so I'm you're losing the hometown talent. And NEU and ASU are doing a good job right now of taking those kids because they're already offering scholarships and housing, and this is what we're going to do for you. And here's what is, the so-called land grant prestigious university not doing anything for the Tucson.
And we're losing lots. Talent. We're losing lots of our students for sure.
And selfishly, as a mother, I want my daughter to stay here after she graduates. So I'm hoping that there's some people that are in those positions that will make the right decisions. And I think it would be nice also if the university was looking at talent. There has to be somebody that's not from, has a U of A connection that could be making those decisions. And I feel like in the last couple of years there hasn't been.
Yeah.
They come from somewhere else. So they don't understand the community, which is why I think the community in turn has been very vocal in their displeasure of of what's going on here right now.
Yeah, because we have so many students from somewhere else, not from the Tucson community, and yet we're in the Tucson community. So
Yeah, I rarely meet people from Tucson in my classes. They're usually from California, Chicago, but never from Tucson. So I think it's an issue that we should solve, because there's, like you said, TUSD has 40,000 students, but how many of those students stay in Tucson to study at the U of A? Not so many.
Not so many, no. They don't. I mean, I think I'll just use my daughter again for an example. I mean, her close core friends, they all plan to go to the U of A, and I think one's going to go to Pima and eventually will transfer. But some of her other classmates are already looking at Cornell or Duke, or I think one of them was looking at NYC. It's like, it's, sorry, NYU. Those kids should be, and I understand wanting to leave and go experience, but will they come back? Will they come back and be part of this community, or will they stay? And like I said, the other two state universities are doing a really good job of retaining those students and especially students of color. So I find it really disappointing that the U of A can't just seem to get on the ball, because it was a long time ago when I went here. It was different, although it was a smaller community of people of color, students of color. I mean, sometimes I would be the only Latina student in my class in the 90s. So it's different now, because sometimes when I'm here on campus or I'm driving through, like I'm just driving through right now, trying to find parking, you see the diversity, but is that diversity coming from California, Tucson, coming from Chicago, coming, So that's a good question. Thanks for this. That's a good discussion.
Yeah. So being an advocate is one of the biggest, I think, hardest jobs someone can have, because you're advocating for so many amount of people. Like you said, you mentioned that there's 40,000 students at TUSD, and you represent all those students. So I think it's a huge shift into working into that, and then you have another day job that you do get paid, and then you're representing all these people without any salary. So what are some challenges that you faced, and how did that made you notice your strengths?
Well, with like my day job, I also advocate on behalf of people with disabilities. And that includes anywhere from ages 0 to 99. A lot of issues with students with disabilities. So I'm consistently advocating 24/7, it seems like, these days. The challenge is time. That's the challenge. I've got to balance my work schedule with my school board schedule. I got to make sure that I'm turning in or doing the projects I need for work, but I need to take a call from a principal. You have to learn how to juggle. And you have to be really good at it. If you're not really good at it, then you won't succeed. You have to learn how to pivot on a dime, to wear 5 different hats without breaking a sweat. At the end of the day, you might be crying in the corner, but during that time, you're doing what you need to do. So time, I think, has been the biggest challenge, because there's just not enough hours in the day. And also self-care. And I know I mentioned that in the beginning. Part of your self-care is the support of your family or friends, but just you yourself, like taking a few minutes extra to, I don't know, take a drive or eat some ice cream and cry in the corner or do whatever. You know, it's like you need that because you need to recenter yourself, because if you're going to take on the role of advocacy, you also have to learn how to advocate for yourself. If you don't, then how is someone going to believe you if you're not believing in what you're doing? That's how, and not just self-advocate, like when you go to the doctor and you're advocating for your medical care, and that's very important. But self-advocate, what I mean by self-advocating for yourself is talking to yourself. You know, your thoughts. Okay, this is what I need to do. This is what I need to be. This is, it has to be, you have to be really cognizant of all that. Because it is, I mean, I wake up every day and then I'm advocating on behalf of people with disabilities, you know, being the director of communications and overseeing social media and the website and writing papers and those sort of things. And then I'm also advocating for what I like to say is my daughter and her 39,999 other friends in the TUSD school district, because that's a lot. And when there's some things that are eye-opening as a school board member that you're like, you thought, well, maybe that's happening in your community, and then you find out it is really happening. And it's sometimes a little mind-blowing that something you thought was fake or maybe exaggerated on a TV show is actually the truth of some sort. That's always a challenge too, because the other thing is about advocating is you want to save everybody, and it's hard. So you have to sometimes pick your battles. You have to sometimes, there's the saying, politics makes strange bedfellows, meaning that sometimes you're going to work with somebody that you never thought you were going to work with, see eye to eye on, have completely different views on, but then you both come together to get something done because it's going to benefit both of your constituencies. That's also the challenge too.
Has there been like any topic that you have advocated for and it wasn't solved for the school or for the kids with disabilities?
Well, I think it's ongoing at the school district in terms of if a child doesn't come to kindergarten, or some of our schools have preschools.
Yeah.
Not all of them. But if they come to school for the first time and they've never been read to or have never picked up a book, the literacy rates in TUSD aren't great. And it's not just TUSD, though. That's across the board.
Yeah.
And it's gotten, sadly enough, progressively worse during COVID. A lot of families just sort of dropped off the face of the earth basically during COVID. We had families that just didn't come back and there was no reason, not because maybe some unfortunately got ill and had to deal with those sort of issues, but a lot of them just sort of disappeared. The challenge of parents, I think we're lucky. We're here, the three of us, especially as women, or those who identify as women, like you had the support to come to school from your family. There's a lot of, unfortunately, your peers and those younger than you and those older than you that didn't have that support. And so they're barely coming to school. They're not being able to catch up in reading and in math. And they don't have that. And sometimes the support is because grandma is raising 5 of her grandbabies and she's working still, and it's too hard. Or sometimes there's just parents who just aren't engaged. And that makes it hard. So that's what I say. You want to save everybody. You want to save every little baby you come across. But sometimes you have to pick your battles. And that's hard. That's hard when you go home at night and thinking like, should I've done more? Could I've done this? That's why I think also, self-care is important to
Yeah.
be able to breathe and come back.
It's really hard because when you take on the journey of advocacy, you really have the heart for the community, and that's the first thing that's always comes to your mind. And so you really want to serve everybody. And I remember we did have a podcast with Stephanie,
Yeah.
and she was like, it's good to be an advocate, but like you're saying, like choose your battles, but like have a specific goal, because at the end of the day, you cannot solve the whole world. But as long as you put yourself out there to solve a specific issue is really important. You mentioned earlier that your daughter is one of your most influential, like for your current career. Has there been anybody else who has influenced your journey the most?
There's been several people.
Yeah.
I think one, my mom. My mom, she had children early. She had 3 daughters. She didn't go to college. She got married pretty young and started having her children, and came from a very traditional Mexican background. So she encouraged us to, the 3 of us, to go to school and be active. Even though herself is still, she's still at home and still does what my mom does. But is because of her that, she encouraged us to get out more, to do more things, to not be stuck in one place. And I think that was, but that was hard for her because she was not taught that. And I think she wanted to see that for her own children. And I mean, I know she's, happy, she's got 5 grandchildren and she's happy in her Nana days and doing all that. But so, and also, and not in any disparaging way, but it also, I think, taught me where that's not what I want to do. I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. I have nothing against stay-at-home moms. But I knew for me that I needed to do other things besides being a mother.
Yeah.
Being a mom is like my number one, will always be my number one job. And then I am still somebody's child. I'm a sister and a friend and an employee and a school board member. Number one, I'm a wife and a mother. We all wear many hats. So I thank my mom for having the foresight to force us to do more.
Yeah.
And then in terms of like my work, I've worked several jobs and have met incredible people who a lot of them are still my friends, and I love and respect dearly. But when I worked for Congressman Raul Grijalva, I worked for him for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Tucson. I grew up on the east side, so I didn't have like kind of the traditional trajectory. And he saw something in me and to cultivate or to be here. And so I'm indebted to him and his foresight to seeing the talent he thought I had. Because I thought that I was going to go and work in the TV business in terms of working in the newsroom somewhere and working behind the camera and doing something like that. I didn't ever think that I was going to be an elected official, or if I worked for an elected official, I would be like a chief of staff or do something like that. I didn't think that I would do this. It still catches me by surprise sometimes, where I'm like, when I'm sitting at the dais in TUSD and there's all these people staring back at me, and I'm like, why am I here? Like, how did I'm just Natalie from the east side. How did I end up here? But I'd say him and my mom, they supported me and challenged me in different ways. And, I also had the opportunity to serve with his daughter, Adelita, on the school board for her last 2 years on the school board. And she's a fantastic woman, and I'm honored to call her a friend. And I'm excited that she's now has taken her dad's seat as Congresswoman Grijalva. And those are the people you learn from. And, and there's still friends from college that I made here at the U of A that that are always, and they check in on me, like, how are you doing? You're okay? We saw something at some school board meeting, and I'm like, no, that's not us. That was somebody else, but it's the people that are always, that will always be in your life are those people that you're going to always learn from.
Well, thank you, first of all, for being a mother. Yes. Being a mother is not easy. My mom always said that I'm praying that all the mothers should go to heaven. And I'm like, why, Mom? You think all mothers are great? She's like, I know, of course, we are humans. Sometimes they fall short, but at least that's one of the biggest sacrifice they always do, because it's not easy to be a mom. And also, not only being a mom, but being in the community, doing this amazing stuff. Like you said, you wear so many hats as a mother, your wife, like your daughter, then you're working in the community and doing this amazing stuff. It's really quite hard and challenging, but you still put yourself out there every day, seeing the work that you're doing and meeting amazing people. And that's the beauty of life sometimes, that it unfolds for you unexpected things that you never know. So here you are, supporting the community.
You have a huge impact on the community. So what do you think about your future? And what impact do you want to do in the future?
Well, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Well, one, I'm hoping whatever decisions that I have made and will make in my last couple of years on the school board will have a positive effect in the end. There might be some... I always say, when people run for office and they're like, I'm going to go in and change things on day one. Then you get there and then you realize, like, oh, it's not quite what I thought. And it's going to take a long time. That's always, even for those of us who had maybe a little bit of a clue of how the sausage was made, quote unquote, with my work with Congressman Grijalva, you still don't know until you're actually the person making the decision.
Yes.
So I'm hoping that because sometimes those hard decisions or controversial decisions may have a positive impact, but you won't see it until you're out of office, maybe like 5 years later. You look back and go, oh, well, that was the right thing. Or sometimes you think you're making the right decision, and then 5 years later you're like, oh, that shouldn't have happened. But you're working with the information that you have at the time. And for the future, I just, like I said, I hope to be an advocate in some way for education. I think that has been, I also have a soft spot for the environment and the Sonoran Desert. I love Tucson and I love our desert. So if I ended up doing advocating for that as well, that would make me happy. I like being out in the outdoors in the open. But just advocating to make our lives better. I don't understand sometimes this need or want to make things intentionally hard for each other. Why? We only have a short time on earth. Why not try to make it the best we can be for our mothers and our fathers and our friends and our families? Because honestly, it really could end tomorrow, so why not try to make the best today? And that's how I try to. It's not easy. I don't wake up every day like, yay, but I try to keep that in mind when I'm doing the big decisions.
I know you mentioned an important part where you were saying that most people, they always look at policies from the outside in a way that when they want to come into office, they're like, I'm going to join this specific department and make these changes right away, which is always never the case, because I've seen so many leaders in my community where they're like, I think we don't like whatever's going on, but when I become this, I'm going to do this and this. But what happens is when they're in those positions, we don't see those changes. But I think it's because people usually judge from the outside. So what message do you have for people who are so passionate about advocating for different issues in their community? They want to become leaders to make those changes. But of course, it's never always the case. But of course, after maybe some years, after a few months, then we can see those changes. So do you have like any specific messages for them?
Be patient. That's, and I know people hate to hear this word, and I do too. Even when I say it, you know, sometimes you have to compromise. You do. And it's cliche, and sometimes it's crap. But I think overall, patience, and like I said before, time.
Yeah.
Time is key. And also coming to meetings, understanding the issue. You know, reading it 5 minutes before you come to a meeting and then trying to pontificate like you know what you're talking about, that doesn't lend to anything. You might get lucky in some instances, in some votes, in some discussions, but, you know, it's this Girl Scout motto, be prepared. Be prepared.
Yeah. So then what advice would you give to students who are still trying to discover what inspires them or what paths they want to pursue in life? Because, of course, we have so many students around, and sometimes some of them come in knowing what they want to do. Some of them come in when they just want to take the general ed classes and see what that would look
sticks,
for them afterwards. So do you kind of have like something that helped you? Because you were here for 4 years at the University of Arizona. So what really helped you choose your degree program? Like, was there something that you did like to kind of be solid and say, I'm going to do this?
Well, there's that adage, you know, like if you are passionate about something, then you'll never feel like you're working a day in your life. I think that's true to an extent. I think sometimes even if you love something, and it's not working out how you thought.
Yeah.
I started off here as a journalism major. I ended up a media arts and Mexican American studies major. And then when I graduated, this would be another hour for telling how many jobs I had. Not really, but you know, sometimes you have to. Some people know what they're going to do. They're going to graduate. They're going to go to law school. They're going to go to med school. They're going to, you know, they're going to join the military and become an officer. Like they know what they're going to do. I think for the majority though, it's okay to try things on. If it doesn't fit, then you move on. Does that mean that sometimes you're maybe have 10 jobs before you find the right one? Then sometimes you do.
Yeah.
Or you're working at Trader Joe's and trying to figure out what the next steps are. And that's okay, because at 22, 23, there's this big push, like you're seeing on socials, you know, you see some influencer, they're making their $1 million, they're doing this, or you knew of a classmate that was already making $200,000 and coming out of college as an engineer or whatever. That's not the majority. And I think when I graduated from here, we had to be reminded of that. But you have to be reminded even more so now, because you guys, everything's on the phone and you see it and it's instant gratification. And so you're saying, well, why does Becky from, you know, get from this class is going to be making this much money when I had better grades? I'm like, what is the other adage? Don't count your chickens before you hatch, but basically what I'm saying is that don't compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. You're taking your own journey. This is your journey. It's as much as you love your parents or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whoever, it's still your journey. It's not their journey. So you're going to have to make the decisions that'll work best for you. And then other people will come around. They may not always agree with it, but in the end, they're not the ones living your life. And as you get older, they're not the ones who are paying your bills or making your decisions for your children. So just try things on. That's all I can say. Don't be in a rush you're grown up. But don't be in a rush to all of a sudden become 45 and you have a mortgage. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, figure it out. Like, figure out what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want to go move to San Diego for a year and then realize it's really expensive and you move somewhere else. I mean, you've got to try things out to see what fits. And so that's my best advice.
Yeah.
And for me, I just kind of fell into politics. I was going to go and, like I said, I was going to work behind the scenes somewhere and do, you know, media. But go, and if it feels comfortable, you'll know it. If it feels right, you'll know it. When it doesn't feel right, you'll know it. Don't ever second guess yourself because you know yourself best.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, you work behind the scenes. So is there ever, do you have a studio that you really want to work at behind the scenes, whether it's a Tonight Show or...
That's a good question. Where would I love to work? It would have been cool to work like behind the scenes at like Stranger Things since I'm watching that right now. You know, like a show.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of work though. I still I do have friends that work in the friends from my media arts days that work in the industry, and it's a lot of work. But again, if it feels right, then it's going to be a good fit for you.
I know a lot of people talk about passion being the main thing, what you love, like just
That's
what you
true.
love. But one thing I'm realizing is that even when you choose what you really love, most of the time is like, can that benefit you financially? Can that help you, your family, the people around you? Can that support your community? Because sometimes like the things that we may love may not like end up like being like beneficial to us, like when it comes to the financial side of it. So like how will someone like balance that? Okay, so choosing a career that like you really love to do it because of course that's what will push you to do it every morning and every day. But then how can like I always put it in a way that students should always choose something, of course, what they love, but in a way that will benefit them and their community at the end of the day.
Yeah, you know, you have to outweigh the benefits,
Yeah.
basically. Because if you are wanting to be a civil rights attorney and working at legal aid,
Yeah.
you went through law school, but you're not making a lot of money on legal aid as opposed to being like a corporate attorney.
Yeah.
Money makes a lot of people blind.
Yep.
So, and I like money. I like being able to pay my bills, buy clothes, pay my mortgage.
Yeah.
But again, at the end of the day, is it going to fulfill you?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you have to make that decision that you're going to, what you're going into.
Yes.
And I mean, I've read, and I'm sure you may have read, you read stories of people like, I worked in corporate law or I worked for corporate America for 20 years. And then I was like, I had to get out of it because it was like draining them. You don't want to find something, you don't want to be doing anything to drain you. Now, if you want to do something for a little bit, save some money and then do what your heart's, desire. But don't always let that get in the way
Yeah.
to what you want to do with life.
Thank you so much for coming to the UAZ podcast. We really appreciate your time for sure. We've had a very good conversation and we love the work that you're doing supporting the TUSD Unified Schools because like you mentioned earlier, you're not paid and you wake up every morning to support over 40,000 plus students and also support the people with disability. That is really great because a few people do that. Like we were talking about the financial stuff, when people look at how much they're going to gain out of it, even if they're advocating, they're still like, I'm not going to do this at the end of the day. But you still put yourself out there to support the community, which is really cool. Tucson really needs more people like you. I wish we had 1,000 people like you.
Thank you.
Tucson.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah. So we're going to end our podcast right now and we wish that you can come again on our podcast so that we can have more conversations with you.
I would love to. Invite me anytime.
Yeah, and we wish you best of luck. If you transition to something else, we really wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.